Hey, 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 everybody. Great to see you. Hey, totally unexpected pop up today. Let me just get myself a little centered here better. Sorry. There we go. Everything's got to be perfect in my OCD mind. Hey, book club, what's going on, guy? Dave, Ruby, awesome to see you. Awesome to see everybody out there. This is just going to be a quick pop up. I gotta clean up someone else's mess. There's a breakage in aisle 2. Listen, I admit it. Okay. I admit it. I was once a conspiracy theorist on the Son of Sam case. Yes, I have admitted it. I once totally believed in the process theory. I was convinced that Mr. Real Estate was hanging out in the middle of the night in Untermeyer Park, sketching pictures of Moloch, of Mr. Real Estate, and Billy the artist was there, drawing pictures in the middle of the night with no lights. I mean, I don't understand it, but I believed it. I believed that the 22 disciples of hell existed and that Berkowitz was a member. I believed that they sacrificed dogs in Untermeyer Park. I believed that John Carr was Wheaties, and I believed that John Carr was an accomplice. Hell, I believed that 22 other people worked with Berkowitz. But I grew up, guys. And how did I grow up? Well, I grew up by actually picking up a camera last year and deciding for myself to go out and find out the stories. Now, I didn't start out that way, as you guys all know. I started out last year, March of 2021, as a true believer in Maury Terry's books. And really, my main goal was, of course, to bring you the stories of the ultimate evil, unedited, unfiltered, and show you the sights. And of course, that video series became very popular. Took off viral, tons and tons. I was shocked, actually. I was totally shocked at how successful it became. And of course, that gave me the impetus to go out and do more videos, which then snowballed on itself. And then it became such a movement that people naturally wanted to get involved. You guys who are in the chat, most of you guys, Ruby, everyone who's in the chat, book club, you all remember what happened last year. Now, for some reason, I'm having some issues. Oh, no. The chat's working. Okay. The chat's working on my restream. So that's good. But I grew up. And why did I grow up? Because after a little bit of time on the streets of Yonkers, meeting people, hearing stories, well, I started to get this weird sense that Maury Terry was, how do I put this in a diplomatic way? Completely lying through his teeth, completely bullshitting all of us, okay, with malice aforethought. And so we don't need to go into the genesis of all that and all the evidence that I uncovered showing that Maury Terry was a journalistic malpracticer and all that kind of stuff and how he selectively edited things out. And of course, the icing on the cake was the Queen's DA dump, which I am very happy that I did not discover, that I did not FOIA, and that I did not put out there. Why? Because, well, if I had, because I was a controversial and still am in some circles, a controversial figure in Son of Sam, even though I'm just, telling you my truths as I see them and you can believe them or not. I'm not, I'm very glad that I'm not the one that put those out because quite frankly, they would have been suspected. So it's great that I can use the same material that everyone else is using and come up to conclusions. And of course, the conclusion that I and so many of you out there have come up with after reading these Queen's DA dumps is that Maury Terry, even more, just completely out there, complete conspiracy theorist. And I, for one, am pissed. And I'll tell you why. Because Maury Terry infected people's minds. He infected people's minds to conflate true crime with conspiracy theory. And as a result of that, we have a dwindling number, yes. In fact, there's only really one person out there, and I'm not going to name this person. I refuse. I think everybody who's watching this knows the person I'm referring to is a cancer and a stain on the Son of Sam community and needs to be shunned completely. Okay, this is a person who is a pathological liar, a sociopath, and recently came out with some videos about Carl Denaro saying that he put his finger on his head and then the bullet hit the finger and then that's what created the hole in his head. Now, everybody who's watching this pretty much knows that me and Carl Denaro are not friends. Okay. I consider Carl Denaro actually a bad guy. Okay. I think he's an enemy of Son of Sam Truth. I'm not his friend. I don't like Carl Denaro. Carl Denaro doesn't like me. But at the same time, as a person who is interested in objective truth, and as a person who has hung out with Carl Denaro and seen his hands, in fact, I touched his fingers. Okay. I asked him, in fact, on one of my videos, he shows his hands to us in the video. In fact, I wanted to actually, he gave me permission to do it, but in the moment I said, no, I'm not going to do this. It's just going to look bad. But I wanted to actually touch the metal plate in his head. I mean, maybe that sounds insensitive, but I actually asked him if I could do it, and he was totally open for me to do it. But in the moment, I said, you know what, this is just not going to come off looking very good. Okay, so, but Carl Denaro's finger is intact. It has some glass shards in it, of course, from the night of his shooting. And yes, I have been a critic of Carl Denaro, and I probably will continue to be. But when a man is being unfairly maligned, lied about, completely slandered, in my opinion, and for what? I don't even understand the motivation, really. But again, it's more conspiracy theory, and conspiracy theory, in my opinion, has no place in Son of Sam anymore. I'm sorry. Okay. So I have become the anti-conspiracy theorist in Son of Sam. And every now and then I have to clean up other people's messes. So I'm going to clean up a mess from a podcast that this very, very unscrupulous, extremely malicious, I'm not even going to call him a podcaster because he doesn't deserve that title. He's a vicious slime merchant who is actually an extremely sloppy researcher as well. And so I've caught this person in something, I'm not going to make a reaction video like Carl did, because Carl didn't need to defend himself. Okay. And when Carl comes out and defends himself on these videos, all that does is make him look weak. And it also adds fuel to the fire of this moronic slime merchant. Okay. Because that's what this guy gets off of. That's just what this is all about. Okay. So I have very easily today demolished something that came up in this scumbag's podcast last night. It was about let's just get into it. Okay. And if anybody, by the way, hi to everybody in the chat. I really appreciate it. And if you want to join in, I have, I'm taking calls today. Absolutely. These are subjects that we should talk about. And we need to shun this podcaster because the lies emanating out of this person's mouth are malicious and they're actually hurtful. You just don't do that. You don't bring family into it. This person is saying that because my father worked for Rubenstein Associates, which, by the way, had like 150 people working for them. Each person was assigned an account to do public relations with. You didn't have much of a choice. Okay. And so my father did public relations for all sorts of people. But this guy is saying that my dad was an intelligence officer and he put me up to making these videos, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not even going to defend it, because if you knew the relationship that I had with my dad, that would be absolutely the most furthest thing. And if you knew my father actually as a human being, great guy, but if you knew my father as a human being, you would laugh at the thought of him even knowing what Son of Sam is in 2022, let alone putting me up to it. But no, what Carl should have done is refute on facts. Okay, so this fool last night came out on his podcast showing pictures of Berkowitz's apartment, copying me, by the way, and fixated on some photographs on a camera that was in the apartment. He stated that the Berkowitz's assignment was to take intelligence photos of the cars and the nettos, which is totally and utterly ridiculous. Okay. But again, conspiracy theory and true crime are conflating, and this is what I'm fighting against. So I watched that and I started laughing because, well, I knew that it was a complete bullshit. And listen, I have no control over what people say, and I certainly have no control over what people believe. Okay. The only thing I can do is refute with actual facts and evidence. Okay. So This person was saying that there was a bus manual in Berkowitz's apartment, so that means he knew Donna Loria because Donna Loria was a bus driver. Donna Loria's father was a bus driver. Not knowing anything, of course, about Berkowitz's interest in civil service jobs and that he was interested in becoming either an MTA, police. He ended up being a post office person. But that book was just simply a book on how to pass the civil service test. I mean, it's stuff like this, which is absolutely needs to be exposed and shunned. Okay. In fact, I have made a pact with myself. Anybody I see participating, whether positively or negatively, whether you're a friend or a foe of mine, I don't care. Okay. You are being blocked from my site because if you're going to participate in complete lunacy, I don't want to know you. All right. So this, and by the way, the camera that was in that shot, I was told that by police that was a Daily News photographer's camera, and it was accidentally left there after the arrest. So that answers that question. Yes, Agent 99, no more personal attacks. You notice that I don't get personal. I always deal with the issues. I'm dealing now with these papers, and we're dealing with the psychiatry, and we're dealing with the tapes, and we're dealing with all this stuff. Personal attacks have no place, and you certainly don't go after people's family. I mean, you go after people's family if there's actual evidence, but you don't go after people's family if there's not. So anyway, let's get to the subject. So you were told by an unscrupulous conspiracy theorist moron, okay, who's drinking on the air, by the way, that these photographs in Berkowitz's apartment were because he was an intelligence agent, and also that these well, let's just show you what we're talking about. The mystery of the photographs in Berkowitz's apartment revealed. Okay, so what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about this photograph right here, okay, and we are talking and blowing up this right here. Okay. Now this moron in his podcast, this isn't Berkowitz. Berkowitz took these photos. This is for professional photographs taken by Berkowitz of a model, and I'm just paraphrasing. Okay. But this means that he was involved with Carl Denaro in taking fashion photographs and also taking photographs of the Netto. Okay. All right. Now I'm not. He didn't actually say that. I'm taking it to the next logical conclusion. Now let's look at this. Okay. So again, photographs. Now anybody who grew up in New York City and who grew up really anywhere in the 60s and 70s, and this person who said this should have known that. Well, this is a photograph taken in a photo booth. First of all, probably in a Woolworths or Five and Dime or a J.C. Penney. Somewhere where they had like professional photograph booths set up, but where like you're not going to spend an arm and a leg. You see photographs like this a million places in the 1970s and 80s. Okay, this is just a standard photographs from a Five and Dime, Woolworths, maybe J.C. Penney. Okay, so either case, it is hard to tell who that is, but you can make out an outline, right? Dark hair. Okay, wearing a suit and a tie. Actually, it's easier to see when you blow it out a little more, when you zoom out a little more, and posing like at this angle. Okay. All right. Now, so that's what we're talking about, and then here's of course blown up, and it's a sheet of photographs, as you would get when you go to a Woolworths and you need to take a photograph for an ID, passport, a formal photograph. Okay, which back in the day people did. Because again, we didn't have digital cameras. You didn't have any of this instant stuff that we have nowadays. All right. So we've established that those. Okay. Now here, if this person, instead of saying that that's not Berkowitz in the photographs, that Berkowitz took these photos and that it isn't him, right? And that this photo sheet of photographs means something sinister, which I can't even follow the logic. Okay. Because none of it makes sense, because it's just being made up in someone's delusional head. And this is the danger of conspiracy theory and true crime. This is what I rail about. This is what I every now and then have to come in and clean up people's messes and breakages in aisle 2. Okay? Straight up. So if this person had just done a little bit more research, like I had, right? Like a lot of you had. All of us are doing this. It's actually great fun, and we're learning a lot. Okay. If they had just gone to Berkowitz's a permit for filing for a shotgun firearm, okay, firearms control board. If they had just gone there and looked at this, right, and gone through the pages. Now, there's some interesting stuff here. In fact, if you look at the firearms permit, this is quite interesting here because Comparetto, Joseph Comparetto. So John Comparetto's father notarized this for Berkowitz. Okay, and this is 1975, which means that Berkowitz was in touch with at least Comparetto's father in 75. Okay, now John said that he stopped seeing Berkowitz in 75, and I have heard that actually Berkowitz was quite good friends with Comparetto's parents. Okay. Again, this is the information that you get when you have a person like me who's in the trenches and speaking to the people who are actually involved, right? Not looking at something and then someone's delusional head fixating on something that doesn't exist in the real world and then telling his moronic people who are actually believing him something. Okay. So again, even this, you could go and say, this is a conspiracy. I found it. We found the document. We found the document that meant that John Comparetto was lying about Berkowitz. Well, first of all, not really, because 75 works in the time frame. And again, Berkowitz was friends with Comparetto's parents. It wouldn't have been that big a deal for Joseph Comparetto to notarize something for David Berkowitz in 1975. Totally normal. Okay, but let's get to the most important nut meat here. My new favorite word. So here's some pictures at the end of the firearms control thing. Here we have this one, which looks like, I don't know, Berkowitz is not very happy here. Okay. Looking pretty sullen. Hairstyles changed. He no longer has that big Jew fro. But hey, look at the next page. Whoa. Ha, hee, ha, hoo, ha, hee, ha. There's a photograph that looks very, very familiar to me. Why does this photograph look familiar to me? Because it's the same damn photograph that's on Berkowitz's bookcase there, okay? The photographs on David Berkowitz's bookcase are of David Berkowitz, and they were taken at fucking Woolworths. All right? I mean, I'm just going to let this sit while I drink water. So how does this make you feel? Okay, seeing this extremely mundane explanation for something that an unscrupulous conspiracy theorist fixated on and is now probably going to make a whole bunch of shows on about how Berkowitz was a professional photographer with Carl Denaro and knew all the victims of Son of Sam. Okay, so again, like I said earlier, and this is going to be a very short pop-up. It doesn't need to be very long. I don't have any control over what people say. Okay, I don't. This person is out there saying the most wicked, nasty things against my father that you can imagine. Okay, saying that he's involved with Jeffrey Epstein and all this crazy shit. Okay, which I'm not even going to dignify by responding to because it's just a lie. Okay, and I'm just telling you that's a lie. Now you can choose to believe me or not. Okay, but I have no control over what this guy says. And I have no control over whether you believe it or not. Okay. But what I do have control over is refuting information and breaking and cleaning up people's messes. And this is a perfect example right here. Okay. So those of you who know who I'm talking about, you can go and watch the portion of that. I watch in double speed so I don't waste that much time. And I always listen to people think that I'm watching my opposition because I'm obsessed or because no, I'm watching just to see what people are saying about my work. Any normal person would do that. Yeah, this is a poor person who said I started my video series in response to him. I didn't even know who this guy was until I made like my fifth video. And then I actually literally was laughing at how ridiculous this guy was. And then I went to Carl Denaro, who was a friend of mine at the time, and we were making fun of the guy, right? Because he was so stupid and ridiculous. This is a person with delusions of grandeur who's lying to you. And again, I have no control over whether you believe it. But what I do control, again, is my video series and the people who I choose to interact with. And if you want to truck with this person, hey, fine. Just know that I'm going to see your name and you're going to be blocked from participating on my site. It's time that we have to come together and we have to isolate these cancers in the Son of Sam world. Okay? It's too bad that Carl and I aren't friends. We could actually join forces on this, but I'm not going to make that same mistake again. Okay? Because as I said before, I'm not friends with Carl and I think he's a bad guy. But I will defend Carl as a victim of Son of Sam and as a person who I believe is doing the best he can and is telling the truth as best he knows it. Quite frankly, his shooting, if you look at the police reports, there's no information. There was no Son of Sam when he was shot. He didn't see anything. There's nothing in there that you can come up with any conclusions one way or another. But I'm not going to sit here and perseverate over Carl. Carl's not my concern. My concern has been and probably always will be the origin story up in Yonkers of Son of Sam. And that's what I'm obsessed with, the crimes of David Berkowitz. Now, having said that, I want to actually put out there in Son of Sam land that given our recent not pop-up, Manny Monday with Gary Handley, which I think was one of the best things that we've ever done, quite frankly. I am now, whereas before I was 99.9995% Berkowitz acted alone, I'm coming back into the fold a little bit, guys. Just a tiny bit. Because Patrick O'Shaughnessy is extremely interesting to me for several reasons. One, the whole thing with the yellow Volkswagen, coupled with the fact that the sketch matched his face perfectly. And yeah, I know that sketch at Moskowitz was a composite, okay? And according to Maury Terry, who was a known liar, everybody in New York was looking for a Hispanic guy. But quite frankly, that is irrelevant. People who saw that photograph thought it was Patrick O'Shaughnessy. So that's all that matters vis-a-vis that sketch, okay? And yellow Volkswagen is back in play, and then Wheat Car sent somebody a notice saying that Patrick O'Shaughnessy and his wife never owned a yellow Volkswagen. Okay, well, how do you know that, Wheat? According to O'Shaughnessy, he didn't know you. According to you, well, I don't know if you've ever addressed O'Shaughnessy. Okay. And then, of course, we have the Judy Placido tape, which was still haunting me and Eric, where they ask about O'Shaughnessy and she pauses and she says something about like, why are you asking about him? Or it was a very pregnant pause. So O'Shaughnessy's on my radar again, guys. The only two people I can see helping Berkowitz in this entire thing at this point are Sparaza and O'Shaughnessy. Okay. And if O'Shaughnessy's on board, well, then it opens up a whole other can of worms. But at the moment, that's it. And I'm still in the Berkowitz acted alone camp. Okay, so if people don't like that, again, go watch some conspiracy theorists. But I'm dealing with the reality as I see it. What's up, Gary? I was thinking about you, Gary, this morning. I was like, I haven't spoken to my boy Gary in a while. And we have Cub Dodge 1981. What's going on? And May Brussel. So that's pretty much it. Listen, does anybody want to call in? I'll put the thing in there. We'll just do a quick. I'll just sort of hang quick. Again, this was a short pop up. I cleaned up the mess in aisle 2. I put on the historical record showing you that you were actually bullshitted to in another person's podcast, and that the person doing that podcast does not have the mind for this. Okay, because they take specious things, they put them together, and then they even get that wrong. This person said AOC represented Brooklyn. AOC represents Queens and the Bronx. Not that I really care about this AOC, but you get my point. Seriously deficient in mental capacity and facts. So you saw today me destroy that, and I'm not going to do this very often because I'm not, but I just felt like I had to today, and also to throw in a little support for Carl. Okay. All right. So does anybody want to join in? I'll stick around for another couple minutes. If anyone wants to join in, you're welcome to. In the meantime, I'll just tell you what we got coming up the next 2 days. So on 3 days. On Sunday, we got Psychiatric Sunday with Eric. We got our third show, and we're going to be dealing out of this book, Occult Bondage and Deliverance by Kurt Koch. Now, I'm going to talk about this Sunday, but this book, again, was written in 1970. I'm going to prove it to you. This is a 1970 edition, even though it's in very good shape, which means it had this cover in 1976 when Berkowitz was reading it, which means to me that it's much more likely that he got the inspiration for the Son of Sam symbol using this cover than anything else. Do you guys see it? There's a female sign. Sorry, it's like all reversed, so it's hard for. There's a female sign. There's X's. Here's this sign with sulfur and so on and so forth. So we're going to be dealing out of this book. And again, I'm waiting for anybody who wants to join in on the chat here. Join in on the yeah, May, you're correct. This book looks brand new. It's crazy. It's just never been written. And let me tell you something. There's a reason why this book was never read and why it's in such good shape. None of this shit makes sense in this crap. Okay? Anybody who's into the occult is strange to me. I just don't understand any of that stuff. It's ridiculous in my opinion. But this is just gobbledygook in here. But Berkowitz said page 181 to 183 described him to a T. So on Sunday, Eric and I are gonna look at that, and we're also gonna look at one or two other letters. Haven't picked them out yet, but they should be interesting. And then on Monday we have John Catalano joining me to look at the Voskorician tape. To listen to the Mr. Barlow, the witness in the Voskorician murder. Because again, that's another audio tape which completely destroys Maury's narrative. Okay, it's not even funny anymore. It's just ridiculous. Again, the guy's in the rearview mirror. We're not even dealing with him anymore. Every now and then I have to clean up somebody's mess, which I did today. And I think that's basically where I'm going to leave it, okay? Because no one's joining me, which is fine. How many people we got watching? 52 people watching, and not one person's going to call in. I should just stay on here just to force someone to do it. You guys need to practice. I mean, let's interact. It's not a big deal getting on the air. It's not like you shouldn't be nervous. None of this stuff. All right. Well, I don't see anybody coming in. So anyway, yes, Agent 99 has my mindset. Analysis of documents is where it's at. Not like coming up with looking at a photograph and then coming up with all of these dumb. So RM Scott had said how you call in the chat. I just put in the studio link. I'll put it in YouTube also. There we go. You just press that and you can call in, but call in with a question that's on topic, please. Okay, let's not. Hey, there we go. We got the one. Yeah.
Hey, Manny.
Gary, I'm not gonna go forever.
No, I know. I wasn't gonna go on because I was kind of getting ready to go out, but it can wait. How's everything?
Everything's great, my man. What's going on with you?
No, nothing. I had a horrendous day and night last night. I walked outside. I hadn't been out in a day and a half. I went outside with Mandy. And apparently there's a wasp nest under my stairs in the front of the house, and we both got attacked.
Holy cow.
I was at the emergency vet till 3 a.m. with her.
Jeez, I am sorry about that. That must suck.
I mean,
is she around now, or is she asleep?
She's okay now. She's resting. they gave me prednisone, and I'm gonna pick up some children's Benadryl for her.
That's good. That's
Oh,
good.
I was scared because I put ice on her and it went down. The swelling went down, but then it came back up, and then her eyes started getting puffy, and then
Jesus.
yeah, my thoughts were, it, she might not be able to breathe if I don't do something. So yeah,
Right.
I mean, if I lose her, I'm done. So
Well, it's great that you got her to the emergency room. So
yeah,
Gary, what's up, man? Anything on this?
we're going crazy. I'm just like bombarded with everything you're coming up with that we're coming up with. I'm not, the thing you and I got going that I won't mention that we're working on.
Right, we are working on
The couple
something
things-
good.
The couple of things we're working on, you and I. And yeah, like you said, Maury Terry's in the rear view mirror. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Rear view mirror. I mean, it's ridiculous already with this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to. Hold on one second. RM Scott, don't know how to call in. You just press the link. That's all you do. Just press it and then get your mic and your camera ready, and you're good.
And
But
when you call in, mute your YouTube.
you have to mute your YouTube. But my take on it is that the truth is not 100% DB acting alone, and definitely, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we're in agreement here, RM. Listen. The simple fact is, none of us know for sure what happened.
The only thing that it doesn't change anything. I mean, yeah. Now I'm thinking it's possible O'Shaughnessy is, maybe was a lookout at most with the yellow Volkswagen. If it was a black Volkswagen or a red Volkswagen or a green Volkswagen, then I wouldn't give a shit.
Right.
It is a little curious, but it doesn't. It does. As far as I'm concerned, it does not change the fact that Berkowitz acted alone in the shootings.
Yeah, Berkowitz. I mean, he even told more. He's like, I was at all of them, but I didn't pull the trigger in every one of them. But
Okay.
yeah, he was at all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, listen. But the simple fact is, listen, I can't control what people think, and
of course,
we're just doing the best we can with the information we have, but we try to at least, Gary, keep it on planet Earth and not go out into the ether with this stuff, because that's what got the community in trouble in the first place.
Well,
believing all this crap.
Yeah,
hey, we got someone else. Let's get Rita in here.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hey, Rita.
Hey, Rita, you're in your car.
Do you know Rita? Do you know Rita, Gary, or is this?
I don't know Rita. No, how are you, Rita?
How are you? I've
Uh-oh.
been, I've
Rita, you're cutting in and out, but let's do this.
Oh, so I've really that you guys have been
Rita, unfortunately, you're just cutting in and out too much with your audio. Unfortunately, we can't hear you. Can you?
Better?
A little. I won't talk. You try to talk, and we'll see if we can work it out.
No, I was saying that I've really enjoyed reminiscing that you guys have done of Avenue and Nathan. I grew up in Sleepy Hollow, so that was all very familiar. No, you know what you've been talking.
Sleepy Hollow's not that far from me.
Hold on. Gary, let's let her talk because she's having issues with the audio.
Yeah.
Yes, people always tell me I have
No, I didn't mean it that way, Rita. I meant it just with the audio.
I know. I'm just joking. I school at Our Lady of Victory, so I'm very familiar. Yonkers and all that other stuff. Honestly, I think that the truth is somewhere, but not acting completely alone. I think stuff that did go on at Untermeyer Park. He's a couple.
Yeah, listen, Rita, your audio. Listen, Rita, I hate to do it, but call in when you have a better audio because we just can't hear you. You're breaking up. It's going in and out of volume. It's going muting. I hate to do it, but technically it's just not working. I'm very sorry, Rita. We'll call back next time, though. We would definitely want to hear from you, okay? So call back when you're on a PC somewhere where we can get a little bit better connection. All right, thanks. We can't hear you, Rita. Sorry. Thank you.
Well,
so anyway,
probably because of Sleepy Hollow. That might explain the Headless Horseman. Who knows?
Yeah, Sleepy Hollow is a cool place. I did a lot of gardening up there. Actually,
Oh.
one of my first private gardening gigs was up in Sleepy Hollow. I'll never forget. I had to
Oh.
remove a ornamental grass out of the ground, and I thought it would be very simple. It was like I needed a backhoe to do it. It was insane.
Oh, I don't want
But
to spoil anything, but did things go well the other day? The other day you said that you had something very important that was hopefully going to come to fruition.
yeah, that's with gardening, and it's working out. But I don't want to jinx it, so we
I know.
won't talk about that.
You sound just like me. I'm the same.
All right, listen. So I don't want to let this go too long.
Okay.
I wanted just to kind of get in here, unless we have something really topical to talk about. I would just rather leave it here, so it's not a very long and meandering podcast.
Yeah, I unlike Eric want to stay in the mafia, so I'm not going to spoil anything that we got working.
All right, Garrett. So listen, great to see you. Okay.
You talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Whoops. Sorry. Say goodbye again.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks.
I always cut people off at the wrong moment. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. Rita, hey, thanks for calling in. Sorry we had that audio issue. We just couldn't hear you, so there was no point in continuing with a technically bad broadcast. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it. I just wanted to clean up this guy's mess. I've done it. I don't have anything else to say. So that's pretty much it. We'll see you on Sunday with me and Eric on our Psychiatric Sunday. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.